Hey, welcome back to Pop Culture Corner, and today we are going to be discussing shocking developments with AMC's The Walking Dead. I am Bennett Nestle, and here with me is...
Austin Perkins.
And Andre Zavala.
Alright, let's get down to business. The big shocking development is that The Walking Dead is now going to be able to say the F word, which is very interesting when it comes to cable.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And in the comic books, it comes back a lot to where like this word is almost like above all else, to where it really gives like personality to some situations. I think it's going to be interesting to see that play out in the show.
To me, this is more of a conversation of what cable is going to become now in the future, how it's swifting into a more mature audiences. And my concern with it is how, after all the seasons that The Walking Dead has had, is how much they're shifting or how much they're allowing pretty much to go into possibly an R-rated kind of thing.
I mean, it's already kind of R-rated with all these like gross bodies and everything, but I understand what you're talking about. I more than The Walking Dead, I'm just interested if other cable networks like FX are going to kind of follow that lead, because it's not a network. Cable does not necessarily have those restrictions by the FCC, so we have. So really, they're only beholden to advertisers. And if I'm an advertiser, I don't really think I care as much if my brand is associated with F words, now that like Game of Thrones is the #1 television show in the world.
And I think that like just in general today, like people are just more mature and kind of have that sense of like, they just say it anyway. So like, why take it out of television? Everyone's heard it, everyone knows what it is, you know?
Yeah, it kind of just is jarring in that world that all this bad stuff is happening, but they're keeping their language PG.
I'm actually interested in hearing your guys' thought on this trend that's been going on lately since Deadpool and Logan came out, pretty much R-rated properties. Do you think that that's pretty much where studios or where networks are going to, like that mature audience, pretty much shifting their content just to appeal to that specific niche audience?
Yeah, I think they're just playing catch up with what the premium cable channels are doing. And I think what 20th Century Fox is doing, like with Deadpool and Logan, I think we're going to see that shift throughout the entire media landscape.
And I mean, you even mentioned FX before, and they're actually making a Deadpool animated series, so like it would make sense that they would add like a more R-rated sense to it by adding the F word and stuff like that to it.
I mean, I don't want to be the pessimistic in this panel, but my concern with this is pretty much now that this is pretty much a trend happening. I don't want to see networks or studios creating R-rated content or mature content just for the sake of creating it.
For like the shock value of it?
Yes, exactly. If the story grants it, then yes, go for it. But like at this point, I feel that implementing for example, the F word into The Walking Dead through all the seasons that you haven't used it, it's going to be like, maybe, I see it more of a shock value than adding to the actual content of The Walking Dead. Well,
yeah, and we might be making too big of a deal of this in general than it is, because AMC has kind of a history with this. You have a Heisenberg shirt on right now. Breaking Bad was allowed 1 F word a season.
Right, I remember that. I was actually going to bring that up next, is that like, I remember exactly when it was like a really pivotal moment before.
With Skyler White?
Yeah, I don't want to like, but yeah, it was pretty awesome, and exactly what you guys were saying is that like the shock value was there. It was like, oh my God, this is like a really heated moment where it was kind of necessary almost.
Well, we also have to take into consideration the fact that using strong language, or more specifically the F word, not only you're granted one a show, but it's pretty much a fine that you have to pay. Like you have to actually ask permission to do so.
Well, not with cable. That's with the FCC and broadcast network. Since these channels aren't on broadcast, they don't technically have to pay those fines. So that's why we're, I think, going to be able to see that shift. All right. I think that's might be a natural end. We're not going to be saying the F word here because some kids might be watching this show, and we're with Penn State. But tell us what you think about all this.
We're gonna wait for your answers right here. Right here.